We think we know a thing or two about buzz, but we've got nothing on the nonprofit we are featuring on today's episode.
My name is Alex Tuckman, and I'm the executive director here at Spikenard Honeybee Sanctuary, which is located in Floyd, Virginia. It just so happens that honeybees are one of those creatures in nature that we just can't do without. They're a small little creature, but their impact is huge, and they're kind of connected to all facets of any given ecosystem. The pollinators are sort of like the bridge between the animal world and the plant world, and up and down the ecosystem chain, if the pollinators are not healthy, then this whole realm of the plants also cannot be healthy. And there's so many foods that we eat that are pollinated by bees, but also all of these other creatures in nature depend on the fruits and the seeds and then the coming forth of plants in the next season that's provided by the pollination services that the bees do. So their role in nature is, we call them a keystone species because they are so important for this whole ecosystem. And there's examples like for ants. If you bring a honeybee colony into a land that previously didn't have honeybees, the population of ants goes up 40% in the first year. And that's actually just based on the work that ants do, which is actually recycling dead bees. So a couple hundred bees die every day, and the ants churn them up and bring them down into the soil, and they aerate the soil, and they create all these channels of nutrients. And so all of a sudden with the bees, you have more ants. And then when you have more ants, you have a good relationship to fungi, and the trees are healthier, and it's all really connected together. And the bees are kind of like a little window into this bigger web of relationships. So Spikenard's history goes back to 2006 when it was founded by Gunter Haug and his wife Vivian, and they founded the Honeybee Sanctuary as a response to the honeybee crisis. Gunter had been keeping bees by this biodynamic method for over 40 years at that point, and he said, well, I actually have some solutions I can put into action and be a model. And so they bought land in Illinois where the sanctuary was first founded, and it was a 600-acre farm in central Illinois that was also surrounded by corn and soybeans, and there was a lot of pesticide spraying. So try as they did to make a sanctuary for the bees, it actually turned out that there was so much toxicity in the environment that the bees actually didn't do very well there. So they started to look for a new place, and Floyd came up as a great opportunity. And if you look at this beautiful landscape that we're in, it's just lots of wildness and pasture and woods and clean air and clean water, and it's a really perfect setting to create a honeybee sanctuary. So they moved here in 2009. And the landscape over the last 14 years has really been a big focus. How do we transform this land in a way that anytime that it's over 55 degrees and the bees can fly, that there's some sort of pollen or nectar available for them and good nutritional quality. So that's one of the primary things about creating a sanctuary for the bees is providing their needs. And basically the first thing that they need is a lot of good food, and that includes flowers, nectar, and pollen. And our goal is to create a flowering landscape for as long in the season as we can. So we try to start with the first flowers coming in the end of February, and then usually through the end of October we have something in bloom for the bees. Yeah, Einstein is quoted to have said that if we lose the bees, human beings have about 4 years on Earth. And it's a pretty stark reality if that is what we're coming to have a species that is actually a domesticated animal that is coming to the edge of its own extinction. This is something that we haven't faced before. And yeah, it causes a real change in heart and soul and mind that a lot of people are attracted to the honeybee sanctuary because our approach is quite ecological and environmentally oriented and also future oriented. We really want to know how can the bees and humans coexist as partners together in evolution for the next 7 generations. And that's the idea of the sanctuary, is to really be a model solution for how we can coexist with the bees here on Earth.
While Spikenard is a refuge for bees, it's also a sanctuary for humans who stroll its grounds during weekly open houses, enroll in in-person and online beekeeping classes, and attend events like farm-to-table dinners and its annual Dandelion Festival. Especially meaningful for Alex are its many tours by school children.
Yeah, so this is what happens with the bees. When a bee goes to a flower, it's like a little magic happens, and the bee has these hairs that sort of look like feathers. All over its body, it has all these tiny little hairs, and the hairs actually have the same sort of static that you'll find like on a slide, and the pollen actually jumps off of the plant and lands on the bee's body. Our modern culture tends to teach fear in relationship to the bees, which maybe is a good, healthy safety net at the beginning, like don't poke that stinging insect, it might sting you, is healthy. But there's a certain point where if we're not taught that the bees can be really gentle and that we don't need to be afraid of them, and to give the children actually that experience of being with the honeybees in a really gentle and peaceful way, and then they're inside the classroom learning about the mystery and magic and the life of the honeybees, and then we go out in the field and actually experience it, and then they learn about the plants and do some gardening and planting seeds. And so these children's programs with local schools, and we also have schools that travel actually from pretty far to come here for week-long programs. So we tend to do 5 or 6 of those programs a year. But yeah, it's become increasingly important to us to kind of make opportunities available for all ages. First of all, I felt a resonance with Buzz for Good. I felt like that mission and the orientation of service and of really seeing what's going on in this amazing community and connecting with the community foundation, and just that whole web of relationships was really compelling. And it's also called Buzz for Good, and this is a honeybee sanctuary. And so we felt if there's a buzz going on here and there must be some kind of way to join the buzz together. And the amount of honeybee puns that can come into this episode, that was a little bit of a dangling carrot there. And I think for us, 14 years of building up the honeybee sanctuary has led us to a certain point where we feel like we have something that we really want to share with the world. An episode like this and working together in this way can plant really beautiful seeds for how this can grow into the future with our local community. So I have a lot of hope. I think we're very interested in partnerships and relationships, and this felt like a beautiful open door for us that we thought, let's put our name in the ring, let's give it a shot. And we're so grateful that it worked out. And yeah, to be featured like this is a true gift for the bees.
To give Spikenard even more, you know it, I turn to a familiar face on our show, a man who knows a thing or two about bees, the letter that is, Bruce Bryan of 5 Points Creative.
There's a power in hearing a story firsthand, and hearing Alex's story, having the dozen or so people here. I wanted them to experience it themselves directly versus me translating what I see and hear, which is what oftentimes happens when we're starting a project. Oh man, people are just, they can't wait to tackle this. And the challenge is going to be getting them to do the other work that isn't as exciting as this. So yeah, we're going to do a great job for them. The fun part is I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to be awesome. It really is. I'm really confident of that. And it's like I said, it's just so much easier to do this kind of work for a person like Alex and for an organization like Spikenard that have momentum, that are doing a lot of right things. It's just a lot easier to do that. Who'd have thought? I didn't know about bees. I didn't know. And so I can't wait to learn more and to help other people learn more. Because I think as people learn more, they'll be more interested.
Yeah, one of our intentions in the way that we interact with our landscape is to really create a place of sanctuary that isn't just a sanctuary for the honeybee. Maybe we started there, but over the course of time we found that it's a sanctuary for the native bees, and it's a sanctuary for all the creatures up and down the food chain. It's a bird sanctuary. The species and the variety and diversity of birds that we find here is incredible. And basically up and down our food chain, there is just an abundance of life that is thriving in this sanctuary. And then we add the human element. And this is maybe the central question to our land care and to our beekeeping. When is the human influence actually positive and helpful in our relationship to our land management and land care? And when do we actually just need to step back and let nature do what it knows how to do best? And this sort of relationship, already that question, what is my part in this, is something that when we bring it into our educational programs, when we bring it into a tour, when somebody walks through the gate and experiences a land that's tended with that sort of inquiry, all of a sudden there's a new opening. It becomes like an opportunity for us to really question creation as a whole, or to bring like an awe and a wonder and a reverence towards the natural world, towards the plant life, towards the bees. And it kind of in a way takes us out of a self-centeredness that is really common in our world today, that is actually part of the root of many of the issues that we're imposing on the bees and imposing on the trees. And yeah, the natural world around us seems more and more like it needs people who really stop and listen, and who ask the question, what do you need, and how can my influence be a positive one?
My name is Oscar Monterosa, and I'm a volunteer here at Spikenard ever since 2015. My wife and I took our first seminar in honeybees in 2015, and then we decided this is a place that is a little bit magical and is serving a purpose that we really believe in. And so we've been volunteering every year since then. And so in Spain, I'm very fortunate to have incorporated some of the ideas that I learned here, and I have a couple of beehives that are on a friend's vineyard, and it's an organic vineyard, and so it's very much interested in kind of spreading the word about the sanctuary concept and about just sustainable beekeeping in a way that is good for the bee, and it's not all about the commercial process. So that's what we're spreading into Spain as well. So it's a real pleasure to be able to spread the message and the kind of things that we do here. So yeah, it's wonderful. Oh, big time, because it all started for us, my wife and I, as far as bees here in Floyd. And it was by happenstance that we happened to be here at the time that there was a seminar, and just decided at last minute to take the seminar, and we were hooked. And that happens to a lot of people, or stung, as I like to say. And there's just lessons in terms of just the outlook on life and how the integration is with nature, and about democracy, a true democracy, and about, just our social behavior and altruism. That's everything that the bees represent. I mean, everything they're doing is for the love of each other, or love. I'm anthropomorphizing, I'm adding the love part. I don't know if it's for love, but the point is they're doing it for the good of the hive. And so it's a joy.
I'm Bonnie Huggins, and when I first discovered Spikenard, I was living in Atlanta, driving back and forth to Harrisonburg, Virginia to care for my dad. And I came into Floyd and stumbled upon Spikenard, and I've been hooked ever since. I wanted to learn about honeybees, and I started taking all of the classes. I actually took some of the classes twice. I would bring friends here. I became part of the 2-year the bee program, sustainable beekeeping program, and eventually became a board member. And now I live in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and I have my own bees, and I have a little apiary, and come back and learn as much as I can, and just continue supporting Spikenard and the work that they do here, and telling other people about it, bringing other people back here to learn more about bees and honeybees. It's just good for the world.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth Thompson, and I came to this sanctuary as an intern a couple years ago, right after COVID. It was a time of reconnecting and rebuilding community and opening up heart to people and learning something totally new to me, which is beekeeping. So there's a lot of learning about how to work with the bees and their natural instincts and what to do. Like, let's say you see a swarm out in the wild. That's how we started our honeybee hives. We caught a swarm, started a colony, and this year she had 4 swarms that we caught. And so now our sanctuary is growing in itself. I'm feeling more and more comfortable getting close to that energy of the hive and opening a hive without a veil, without protection, knowing they're vulnerable, I'm vulnerable. And that's opened my heart up a lot to people, to community, to life. Yeah. I'm excited just to keep evolving and learning. And I feel like this is a place where that can happen. Nothing's set in stone. We're always learning. So I'm just glad to be nearby so I can keep coming here.
You found your hive.
Yeah, I did.
Spikenard's newest employee is Neelima Baird. A native of asphalt-covered Albany, New York, Neelima felt a calling to return to and steward the earth, which led her to study biodynamics and eventually the 600 miles to Spikenard.
When I look at art, I think of how was it to create that art? What was in that artist's being when they put that paint to that canvas? And I started to look at honeycomb in this way. What is going on in the beings that can take from their own body the substance and turn it into something that's both a pantry and a nursery and make food for future generations of themselves? And the more I started to learn about bees and how they live together, they make unanimous decisions as a whole without discord among them. That's a pretty startling concept to work with as a human being, which made me start looking to them as these are more than just creatures that crawl around on the earth and fly on the earth. These are significant beings. They have something going on that I wanted to know more about. Well, I think on an interrelationship level, the way I relate to other human beings is, I'd say, different, improved in a way. Spending the time with the bees has allowed me to develop that capacity of genuine curiosity about the other. We're learning through the bees to approach any situation with curiosity rather than a preconceived idea or a rushing in, I know the thing to do, but to be able to step back a little bit and to listen with more than just the ordinary senses and really take in what is going on with another being that will help inform your interactions with them. And I find learning to do that with the bees develops my capacity to do that with human beings. And I think we can use more of that.
Well, Alex, it's good to see you again. The first time we came out here, it was amazing getting to feel the vibe that the sanctuary has and to see your passion that you have for what you do and how important it is, not just here, but in a global format. I don't ever believe it. I remember our team being so excited about a project that we just couldn't wait to get started when we got back. So we really hope you like what we brought back for you today. With that being said, I think everything that we're about to show you today, if we were to do it commercially, would be valued at about $35,000. So we were pretty excited. So anyway, first thing that we saw was your branding. Your branding is good. but we wanted something to be a little bit more graphical. You have a leaf currently, and we were thinking, well, pollinators like blossoms. So we tried to do something with Spikenard blossom, also with the bee represented graphically as well as honey. The final thing we wanted to do was stick to earth tones, honey, the color of honey, think of that. So that's what we did for you, and this is the first one that we did. Again, you can see the honey and the bee. Everything is very simplified as far as the font is concerned.
Very clean, yeah, beautiful.
And then also, when you sell the honey every spring, when the jars leave here, they can still tell a story. If they're gifted to someone that may not even set foot on the sanctuary, you can still tell your story in that packaging. So that's the other thing that we have. And then you also see the wildflower seeds, and we'll come back and talk to them more about that packaging as well. So that's option number one. Option number two, again, you see the bee, it's something very clean, and then of course, again, you see the blossom graphically represented there. And again, we stuck with the earth tones on this one as well.
Yeah.
So very similar. Here is your packaging for the honey and the seeds as well. Again, kind of a way to help tell your story better even after things leave the sanctuary. And then finally, this is more of a traditional logo, something very similar to what you have now. But again, you see the graphical representation of the bee. You will also see the blossoms there. And these have a little bit bolder colors, still sticking with the earth tones, but just a little bit bolder. And then finally here, you'll see the packaging and how that translates to your packaging as well. So there you have that. And then here, the last one is just all three for you to look at so you can compare them. Again, you don't have to make a decision today. You can kind of digest this, let it sink in, and then we can go from there. We had mentioned the wildflower packaging. One of the things that our team had talked about was one of the questions we had when we first came up here was, what can we do? You know, and the first thing I told you after you said, well, just plant wildflowers. I went out and bought some mums and sat out on my front porch and have enjoyed watching the honeybees all fall do that. So we were thinking, man, we don't know if they can budgetarily do it, but it'd be really nice if they could package the seeds and give to people as a reminder of what everybody can do to help out the pollinators out. And tell us what happened when we came to you and said, hey, do you have the budget for this? You answered that with a resounding yes. Tell us your side.
Yeah. So we grow pollinator plants already for sale, and typically we're growing them in the greenhouse and potting them into pots and selling them as potted plants. But we also gather way more pollinator seeds than we actually need ourselves. So we always have a whole bunch extra that it'd be very easy already without actually any change in our practices to simply bag those up into the nice packets that you have designed so beautifully for us. So it's a great idea.
And then the last thing that we heard from you that you needed help with was promoting your Dandelion Festival in the spring. So what we've done is we put together 3 plans. The first 2 are really to take it to if you want to take it from currently 75 people to 200 to 300. The first tier requires minimal to little investment from you. With all of these, we'll pledge to do media alerts for you, which is about $1,000 value. We'll do a couple of those for you to try to get some media coverage out here to help your cause, create some buzz. Sorry, I had to do it, but anyway.
It's too tempting.
I know, exactly, just can't resist. But anyway, then tier 2 is kind of the same thing, same size, but with a very minimal investment on your part monetarily. And then the third one is if you really want to blow it up and go 500 or more people. We don't know if you've got the space to accommodate that many people or not, but if you do, we've got a plan there with a little bit of an additional investment for you guys monetarily. So there's that, and that's a one-pager. So anyway, we think that'll be a good thing for you guys in a way that we could help you. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is overwhelming and so beautiful, and yeah, the design work is incredible. It's something that we've been thinking about for a while. How can we kind of make this a little bit more simple and representative of who we are, and especially that the connection that you put together there between the bees and the flowers right there in the logo, I think is something that communicates exactly what we do as a sanctuary. And yeah, the support and the help is so deeply appreciated. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Like I said, our team was incredibly excited about this. It was a very rewarding opportunity for us to get involved with, and we just thank you for having us out here.
Yeah, it's sweet to work with you all. Thank you.
Funding for this program comes from the Community Foundation of the New River Valley, encouraging charitable giving, nurturing collaboration, and investing in lasting solutions that enhance the quality of life in the New River Valley of Virginia. cfnrv.org, with additional support from the American Advertising Federation of Roanoke.